Hey, everybody. I wanted to send you a little bit of a recording here that was not as glitched as when we did the live version today. I do thank everyone who attended the live, and I did have a few little technical difficulties. I assure you I'm way better at medical stuff than I am at all of this. So I wanted you to be able to get the information and not have to be distracted by my little glitches. And let's hope that I don't do that again. But anyway, thank you for attending. This is the hormones and breast cancer webinar that I promised you, and we'll be sending the recording out to you. And I am not sure what brought you here today, but I'm sure that there's some type of curiosity, maybe some kind of background, whether it is you yourself or a loved one that has had breast cancer, or you would like to prevent breast cancer, or maybe it's curiosity. Whatever it is, I'm glad you're here, and I hope that I can help you to answer some of your questions and shed some light onto this whole hormone and breast cancer business for you. So the topics that we're going to cover today is understanding breast cancer, the hormone cancer connection, and the hormone therapy and breast cancer conundrum that we have going on. So lots and lots of information to give you. I'm not going to try to overload you today, but there are a lot of things that I think are very important when it comes to breast cancer and with hormones. And it's just what I like to do, is to educate. So we're going to do that. And if you do not know who I am, I'm Marsha Jones. I'm a nurse practitioner. I am a functional medicine certified nurse practitioner. So I did all the traditional stuff, and then I got this extra certification in functional medicine. And I do a hormone-focused functional medicine clinic. It is all online. It's marshajonesnp.com if you have not found me there yet. And so once I found functional medicine, I knew that it was my calling. I knew it was what medicine was supposed to be, and the way I thought that I'd been practicing, but yet it put more into perspective for me. So with functional medicine, what we do is we go to that root cause. And we look for what is, causing your symptoms and what is making you feel less than perfect. Because all too often, you go into your medical provider or you're searching the internet, looking for the answers to why you don't feel like you want to feel. And a lot of times you'll get, go get labs, go do whatever, and you're told, we don't have a reason for it. There's nothing wrong with you, but you know that there is something wrong with you. Well, functional medicine, we look at it a little bit differently. We dig a little deeper. We don't just do those standard labs. We do more in-depth labs. They help to find the reason for what's going on with you. We do a lot of things with gut health. We do emotional health. We do nutrition, but it isn't just that. So, and a lot of people think that functional medicine is just that, oh, you got to eat more vegetables, exercise more. But there's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot of biochemistry to it. There's a lot of science behind it. But there also is a lot more of listening, and there's a lot more personal touch to it, and helping you to understand yourself and the things that are going on around you and put all that together. So that's what functional medicine is. That's the way I think that medicine should be done. And that is what I want to help you with as you're going through your journey with your hormones and with cancer care. So the hormone piece of this, so that's the functional medicine piece of this. This is the hormone piece of what I do. And so this might look a little confusing to you. There's a whole lot going on this screen. This is not for you to have to understand. This is just telling you a little bit about what goes on in my head, and that there is a bigger picture to all of this. So you've got over 45 different hormones in your body, and every one of them affects the other one. These are some of the ones that we look at with our hormone-focused cancer care, with my hormone-focused care for women who are feeling a little off balance, who can't sleep, maybe have hot flashes, menstrual irregularities. I do focus a lot on women. I do functional medicine for all spectrums, all ages, but this is where I love to do it. This is my specialty, is with women and with their hormone imbalances. And it's all, about the progesterone, the estrogen, the insulin, the dopamine. Some of the things you may not have even realized were hormones, but they are. And the nerd that I am, I like to pick these things apart, and I find it fun. It's like a puzzle. You just feel bad when you come to me. You feel bad and you just want answers. And you're like, yeah, Marsha, you can have all these names and all these things. I don't care what you're talking about, as long as you make me feel better. Those are the women that I usually get and that I usually see. And that's okay, because I will bring it down to your level also. I like to put it all together and present it to you in human terms, in real life terms, because I'm a real person. And that's the other reason I like functional medicine, is because sometimes the whole traditional clinical medicine is just that. It's very clinical. We just give you data and numbers and follow protocols, and that's just ugh, I don't like doing that. I like to know you. I want to know what's going on with you, what makes you tick, and ask that one question that maybe no one's ever asked you, that brings it all together. And the thing you might not have ever thought to mention, that once you have that one piece of information, it's that aha moment. It's that thing that goes, okay, now we can fix it. Now we can put you back together. So that's why I like doing what I do. And while I've been helping women through these years with their hormone chaos, I've been doing it for over 10 years now. Even before functional medicine, I was doing hormone management. But functional medicine made me look at it a whole lot differently, and I think do it a whole lot better. But I've been watching the trends. So when I'm focused on hormones, I'm focused on things that are surrounding hormones. And what I've seen is that breast cancer is on the rise. Breast cancer is coming at us, faster. There's more women getting diagnosed. Women are getting diagnosed at younger ages. And so I start going, why is this? What's happening? Why is breast cancer now the number one cause of cancer? How has it surpassed things like heart disease, for the cause of death in the United States? What is going on? And so as I'm talking to women and as I'm monitoring your hormones, I'm looking for those other things that are happening. And so as you're getting to feel better, I'm actually protecting you from cancer. And so I've shifted my focus with my practice a little bit from not just managing hormones from that functional aspect, but hormone focused cancer care, because I want to protect you, since that's what's happening. That's what we're seeing right now. That's what's on the rise. So every one of us has a cancer story. Every one of us is afraid of cancer. No one wants to talk about it, but yet it's there. Whether you're starting to get mammograms done and you're worried about cancer, or maybe you've found a lump and you're worried about cancer. Maybe you've had some irregular tests and you're still waiting for results, and that's what piqued your interest for this webinar. There's a reason that you are interested in cancer, or you want to know more about cancer. Maybe it was a loved one that you had to watch with cancer, or someone in your community, and it's put a fear in you, or that's why you want to know more. Whatever your story is, whatever your experience is, we all have one. So what is your story? What is your history with cancer? What is it that makes you wonder about it or worry about it? Do you watch the statistics? Or is it more personal than that? So as I said, cancer is that most feared diagnosis. And in my clinic, whether it was primary care, over the years, bedside nursing, whatever it is, whatever I've heard people talk about with cancer, it's feared. And people will come to me just because they're afraid they have cancer, because whatever the symptom is that they're having, they can't make it make sense in their head. And people are telling them there's nothing wrong with them. And the first thing they think is, I bet I have cancer. I must have cancer. I hear it every single day. In whatever realm, I hear the word cancer every single day. And I know that it's the most feared diagnosis. So if I can help to take some of that fear away, help to answer some of your questions, then I've done my part. I've done something that satisfies me and my mission with what I want to do. Because I don't do this just to do this. This isn't a career. This is who I am. And I like to help people. I like to help women. I like to make sure that no one is suffering. And if I can do something, I'm going to do it. So cancer is one of those things that from wherever you sit, whether it is as a family member yourself, whether it's from a medical perspective, there's a lot of emotions that go with it. There's a lot of uncertainty. You have to start to think about yourself and your life and your legacy, and your family, your career, whether even if it's financial, whether it's you've been diagnosed and you're trying to figure out how to make everything work, or whether you're thinking of relationships that are damaged with people that you really want to repair that relationship with. Maybe it's your children, your husband, your whatever it is. There's things that are going through your mind when you hear about cancer that are affecting you. I personally have been very blessed in my career and in my life to help so many people during their cancer journey. as I said, I've been a medical provider for a lot of years. And I went from a nursing assistant to a registered nurse to a nurse practitioner and then functional medicine. So all through my career, I've been able to do things with my patients, whether it's sitting at their bedside, holding their hand, whether it's answering questions for the family, whether I'm the one giving the diagnosis or following the patient after the diagnosis. I've had many, many encounters with cancer. And, I've seen every emotion of it. I have seen the fear. I've seen those who actually find the blessings in cancer. And you might find that odd to hear a blessing in cancer, but the fear of it or facing it, the journey through cancer helps people to repair relationships that may have never been repaired. It helps them to, do things they may have never done. It helps them to understand themselves a little better and enjoy their life a little bit more, experiences that, may have never occurred without the diagnosis. So it isn't always bad. I get to see joy. I get to see people who have made a difference in other people's lives. It's been amazing. And this woman that is here, her name is Sandy, and she was one of those amazing people in my life throughout their cancer journey that I was able to help in some capacity. Sandy is one of those advocates for things like functional medicine. And in her journey for cancer care, she did not accept conventional medicine saying to her, you have stage 4 breast cancer that is metastasized to the liver, and you need to just go home and say your goodbyes. That's not Sandy. She was way more determined than that. And she's like, I know that there's more things I can do, and I'm not accepting this answer. And I'm going to help others as I go through that. And she, lo and behold, did live an additional 6 years. So I am so thankful that I got to help her and that we got to work through these things together and the alternatives to care that a lot of times you don't know about. And I would like to help continue with her legacy of sharing that information with women. And you're here. And so that means you're part of Sandy's journey. And everything that she did was for a reason. She did pass away last year, and she was okay with it. Her faith and the legacy that she left behind her, she was okay with it. And this is my personal experience, and this is not me. That was, my professional experiences with cancer. I've just went with you over with you. This experience personally was with my husband. And this has helped me to be more determined and motivated to bring this to more people, not just Sandy, wanting more people to know, but having to be on the other side. So I've done medicine, healthcare all of my adult life, and I'm able to deliver that information. Like I said, hold hands, give encouragement. But when you have to sit on the other side and wait for an answer, and the thoughts that are going through your head, it's torture. It is absolute pure torture. And I've always tried to be encouraging to my patients, and to help them in some way. But when you have to feel it for yourself, oof, it's a whole different ball game. And so now I try to bring a little bit more of that understanding to you. So the story with my husband, we've been married for less than 2 years. We're actually going to be married 2 years next week. So, and we've been through this whole journey, which made it even more impactful, is because there was some blood work coming back abnormal, and I knew a little too much to know what this could mean. And so my research, like I said, I do hormones and I do functional medicine and I do other things. I don't do the type of cancer that we thought he had. The blood work was coming up that it may be some type of a blood cancer. And so all the research that I kept doing was pointing to something that could possibly have been multiple myeloma. Not good, right? So it was hard. And I was waiting for test results to come back, and I was waiting for specialists, and I was trying to stay in my lane, and I was trying not to be the medical provider, but to be the wife and to, let things play out the way that they do for any other person on the other side. Well, it wasn't happening fast enough for me, and we weren't getting answers that I wanted, and I wasn't going to have that. So I did what I could do to start finding some more answers, but I couldn't do a bone marrow biopsy. I'm not an oncologist. I'm not a hematologist. So I'm doing all the herbal research. I'm starting them on things, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I don't want to mess anything up and any results. So I had to wait. which is difficult, and which is why I know that any of you who are in that phase right now, you're being tortured. We did end up finding out that, the results were from COVID. They're a post-COVID condition that made these abnormalities come up in his blood work. And there's certain things that we still need to do from here on out to make sure that he doesn't develop something like a multiple myeloma or leukemia, because the COVID that he's had about 4 times now seems to affect his blood cells, and goes to his bone marrow instead of everything else. Everybody's had a different experience with COVID. So we're always going to have to be mindful of this, and we're always going to have to be watching out for him. And it's a struggle, but knowing that and knowing what somebody else is going through has helped me to bring more to you. And so I like to think that I'm even more understanding than I ever was. And I know that you need a little bit more of a personal touch. You don't need the clinical phase. And I know what it's like to want to do anything and everything in your power to save yourself or to save someone you love. So my intention with you following all of that is to help you to replace that fear, that uncertainty, and that despair of thinking that you have no option, with answers, guidance, and hope. So that is what I want to do with my hormone focused cancer care clinic and this new era in cancer care of where we're headed. 1 in 3 women are going to develop cancer in their lifetime, and breast cancer is that #1 cause of cancer. 85% of breast cancers are not genetic. So you can't say anymore, well, nobody in my family had breast cancer, so I don't need to get that mammogram. I don't need to worry. That's not true anymore. 85% of them are not genetic. Even though we do genetic testing, that tells us what our risks are and what we have to do a little bit differently, maybe once we know that genetic factor, but 85% of them are not genetic. 90% of cancers are preventable. 90%. That is an astounding piece of information. So to help you to prevent, we have to understand. So I help you to understand breast cancer just a little bit better. This is the big, long diagnosis. And then I'm going to break this down for you a little bit better into smaller bites of what matters with the breast cancer and what you can do to work on it and to help you to understand it. So it's a lifelong, meaning it never goes away, genetically predisposed metabolic disease of the mitochondria that requires a lot of energy, resulting from an immune system that has been broken by toxic exposures and a lack of nutrition, fueled by inflammation, which is rapidly on the rise, targeting estrogen-dependent reproductive organs, and the #1 cause of death in the United States. Now, that's a lot. So the parts that I highlighted is what I said we're going to focus on. The other pieces, that's what the nerd me looks at. And anybody who wants to go deeper into that, I'm happy to share the information with you. But I know you don't care about the word mitochondria. But you understand the words metabolic, toxic, inflammatory, and estrogen and reproductive. And that is where we are right now. So to highlight those areas, metabolic disease means it's central to metabolic disease. What is central to metabolic disease is insulin, inflammation, and obesity. And if you're living right now in the current world, these are all the words that you hear. And this is what is happening to us. Toxic exposures. Toxins damage the cells. They damage the immune system and they increase inflammation. All those words you heard in that definition. So if you can't metabolize and eliminate toxins from your body, that's where you run into a problem. So toxins, they come from plastics, metals, preservatives, makeup, pollution, pesticides, all these things. You're hearing about it in the news every day. But I don't want you to think that, well, there's toxins everywhere. I can't get away from it. So what does it matter? It does matter, because it's about how you metabolize them and how you get rid of them. And that's part of what I do, is I help you to see what kind of toxins you're exposed to, how you get rid of them, and help you to get rid of them a little bit better, so that you're going to be exposed every single day. So that even though you're getting exposed to it, we're going to help you to get rid of it so that you can feel a little bit more confident. Then there's this lack of nutrition. Okay, there's a difference between food and nutrition. Nutrients have a purpose. Nutrition makes sure the body's fueled with energy and protected. You have to have nutrition and nutrients to make those other things you don't care about, like the mitochondria and the immune system, actually work. because all the things in the body are there for a reason. And the body is really resilient if we give it what it needs. So as long as it's got all those nutrients and all those vitamins and minerals and things that you hear about, as long as it has them all, it's going to do things the way it's supposed to. And then we have inflammation. Inflammation is like gas on a fire. So in an inflamed body, those cells, those cancer cells, they mutate. So things that are normal get damaged by inflammation. That's what mutation means. They get turned into damaged cells that grow really fast because that's that gas that we just threw on the fire called inflammation. And so if you have one or two damaged cells, before the immune system can find it and get rid of them, they just start growing and they start multiplying really, really fast. And that's how you get tumors. That's how a couple cells turn into a big tumor, and then how tumors turn into metastasis and go to other parts of the body. It has to do with this inflammation and this rapid growth that is happening. So also, while inflammation is doing all of that, it is, hurting the immune system. It's slowing down the immune system being able to find those damaged cells and get rid of them. Because when you have all this stuff coming in at you, so the things that cause inflammation are stress, sleep, infections, obesity, toxins, poor gut health. All these cause inflammation. So when your immune system is trying to attack all those other things, it misses those little cells, those little glitches that are happening that are going to turn into a tumor and turn into metastasis and that are turning into cancer. So this is why we have to decrease inflammation. This is why we have to put that piece of the puzzle into what we do when we're talking about cancer care, whether it's cancer prevention or, prevent, or when you're in the beginning phases of cancer before you go into your treatment, while you're in treatment, or even after treatment. These are the things we have to look at, because this is why I tell you cancer is lifelong. It doesn't go away. There isn't really a cure. You go into remission, but if you don't correct those things that all added up to start cancer in the first place, you're always at risk for it to come back. These are the things that you aren't being educated on. And this is why I'm so fueled up by this, and I'm so passionate about this. And I want you to have this information, because the more you know, the better you can protect yourself. Nobody's going to be perfect. Okay. We're not ever going to get rid of everything. And I'm not telling you that what I'm going over today is the only thing that you need to do. This is the whole picture. This is the synergy of it. This is where conventional cancer care meets functional medicine cancer care. This is where the whole body comes together to work together. And this is why we call it integrative care, because we need conventional care, we need functional care, we need all of it. And we're going to bring it together, call it integrative care, and we're going to help you to manage everything and to help you beat the odds and come out feeling better than ever. So here's that other part. It's rapidly on the rise. 2 million people were diagnosed with cancer this year. Breast cancer is the #1 diagnosed cancer. And every single year, almost 42,000 women die of breast cancer. That makes it the #1 cause of death in women in the United States. So that is why I'm here. That is why I'm so strong about this and why I want to make such a difference. There's so much education that needs to be done and so many things that we need to learn. Cancer is targeting estrogen-dependent reproductive organs. What's the breast? The #1 estrogen-dependent reproductive organ. It's the #1 female organ, if we want to call it that. It is. They are so estrogen dependent that is why breast cancer is the #1 happening thing right now, because estrogen is one of our main problems. It is not the only problem. It is not the only hormone. It is not the only thing that goes into cancer care, but it is why breast cancer is the #1 cause of cancer right now. And like I said, I focus primarily on women, but there's a lot more prostate cancer happening in men also. And that is because the estrogen levels are going up all around us. And we're going to go into what those things are that are causing estrogen levels to rise in men and women, and why cancer of these estrogen dependent organs is such a big deal. So we have to identify and correct those imbalances so that we can make a difference and we can stop this, because it's already out of control and we need to put the brakes on it. So advanced hormone testing is highly recommended. So the key points out of this is that estrogen and inflammation are involved in changes to the breast tissue. Cysts and fibrous tissue, those are not cancer. So when you're looking, for ladies who have had breast imaging done because you found a lump, you're worried about that, and maybe you haven't went for the testing yet, please get the testing done. Always get the testing done, never assume. But if you have cysts and fibrous tissue, they are not cancer and they don't cause cancer themselves. But they do show that there's an imbalance in your estrogen that you really need to get looked at. So you balance your hormones, you decrease your inflammation, you are protecting yourself from breast cancer. So these are the top 5 hormones of breast cancer: estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, insulin, and cortisol. These are the ones that we really look at because these are the ones we're really going to make a difference with. But I'm going to keep it simple for you for what we're talking about here today. Primary female hormones, those are estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. Estrogen is naturally produced, okay? It's the focus of what we're talking about. It is highly controversial. It is the one that everybody is calling the bad guy. But look, estrogen is not the bad guy. We need it. It's what makes us women, okay? It's what makes us who we are. And I think pretty awesome, right? But it is also what can make us feel like we're all going a little crazy, and why I've had to do so much of that hormone balancing stuff throughout my profession. But when we look at it from this perspective, managing your hormones to make yourself feel better, that's why I say that's what's on your mind. These are the things that I look at when I'm managing your estrogen and helping you to put your hormones back into balance, because this is what it makes a difference and why it matters. This is also why I really think you need to make sure that if you want hormone balance, you want hormone replacement, you want hormone anything, you get someone who is trained correctly. You get someone who's got hormone functional medicine hormone training. I know it's what I do, and it's probably why I'm a little bit biased towards it, but I'm going to tell you all the other reasons why I'm biased towards making sure you find a functional medicine person to help you manage your hormones and manage your estrogen levels, because you have to be educated. Everybody's got hormone as the bad guy. But like I said, breast development, endometrial lining, it makes us women. It makes our bones strong. It makes our hearts strong. It protects us from heart disease. It makes our brains work better. It makes, protects us from things like Alzheimer's disease. So we have to have estrogen. We don't have a libido. We aren't sexual. We aren't anything like that if we don't have estrogen. So to make it all bad is not all good. Understanding it and the parts that are bad is what's going to help you in the long run. So what's bad is too much estrogen. So you got an estrogen overload, the wrong type of estrogen, because there's 3 different kinds of estrogen and they all go down these different pathways and they're metabolized different and they're used in different parts of your body, and then they get eliminated from the body. So you have to know what type. That's my job. I look at, those nerd things, those medical things. But the wrong type is what causes it to go bad, not estrogen itself. And then if you don't process it correctly. So I got to tell you, you have to get rid of it. And one of those things that we talk about is elimination. So we go to the bathroom every day for a reason. Everything goes through our liver, processes through our liver, then it gets, put into what we don't need. It's all processed, goes through our GI system, and we have to go to the bathroom every day. Sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. That is good. When you are actually going to the bathroom, you are getting rid of those estrogens and those toxic burdens, those things that go bad. If you don't go to the bathroom every day, there's number one, you've got a problem, and you need help with that. Because the longer that stuff sits in your system, it's kind of like rotten in your gut, and it just keeps being recirculated throughout the body. And as it's being recirculated throughout the body, it's causing damage, because we're not meant to have toxic things in our body. We're meant to get rid of them. So anyway, that's estrogen gone bad. So hopefully that helps you to understand things a little bit better. Estrogen imbalance or dominance, that increases your risk for cancer. And so if you are doing things like, so these are some of the things I wanted to list that estrogen elevators can increase estrogen. Natural hormone cycles. Okay, we fluctuate with estrogen just throughout our cycle. That's what we're supposed to do. That's not the bad kind. It's birth control. That's something, that's a conundrum. We're not going to get too deep into that one. Animal products, because they've been injected with hormones, that causes a problem for us, because those are those synthetic hormones that are bad for us. They're not those bioidentical that match our body, but these are the things that are coming in that raises our estrogen levels of the wrong type. Then we have adipose tissue, so fat cells. Fat cells actually make estrogen, right? That's not fair, is it? So we're in that, like, what came first, the estrogen or the fat, like what's going on here for real? And if you think about it, increased levels of breast cancer, increased levels of obesity. There's a connection, people. There's a connection. And you're going to understand that a little bit better at the end of all of this. So alcohol, that's another thing, because alcohol goes through the liver. We detoxify things through the liver. Our elimination has to do with the liver. So if we're clogging up the liver with all that and too much alcohol, that's going to increase our risk for breast cancer because we're not eliminating all the toxins. So be mindful of your alcohol intake. And then we have xenoestrogens, that's personal care products, plastics, pesticides. There's a lot. That's why we recommend natural products too. So one of the other things is hormone replacement therapy, and I'm going to talk about that later. So don't question that one just yet. I didn't forget about it. Insulin. This is another one. You may not think about insulin with breast cancer or any kind of cancer, but insulin is a growth hormone. It's a metabolic hormone. So we've all heard sugar feeds cancer. Okay. You don't want a lot of sugar going around in your system. Well, then you add insulin to it. So you have too much insulin, too much sugar, your body can't process it. Well, that leads to diabetes. Well, diabetes and obesity, we know the relationship of those two things. Then we've got promoting tumor growth. So with insulin being a growth hormone, it not only makes you fat, it also makes your tumors grow. It makes everything grow. So then we've got inflammation. So pro-inflammatory. And I already talked to you about what inflammation does to the body. So here I'm going to break it down for you. The simplified version of the hormone cancer connection. Hormone imbalance, poor estrogen metabolism, insulin, inflammation equals breast cancer. So how does obesity cause breast cancer? Obesity is an independent risk factor for development of hormone receptor positive breast cancer, has been associated with an increased risk of recurrence and reduced survival. I read that one to you because that is a technical definition. So you have to know that if you are overweight, you are already at an increased risk of breast cancer. And if you're going through treatments and you're overweight, you are at increased risk for the treatments not working or having to change treatments or do them for longer periods of time. All of these things factor into that. Reduced survival rate and, like I said, a high risk of recurrence. Because if you don't fix the things that cause the cancer, you're going to be at a high risk for recurrence of cancer. So that hormone obesity breast connection, fat cells make estrogen. Estrogen stimulates breast tissue. Obesity is an inflammatory condition and a metabolic condition associated with elevated insulin levels. Is it all making sense now? Now that hormone replacement part, it can cause breast cancer if it isn't done correctly. And I want to make sure that I say that because I'm sure you're going, but Marsha, you do hormone replacement. Why, yes, I do. But it's taken me a lot of years to know how to do it correctly and a lot of education to make me understand every other piece of the puzzle about you can't just pop estrogen into somebody and not know the rest of it. Because you have to know about elimination, you have to know about insulin, you have to know about inflammation, you have to know about testosterone aromatizing, and that's another, like, don't worry, that's what I worry about. You have to worry about all these things, about whether the estrogen's going down the right pathway or not. Is it going down that one that's going to cause cancer, or is it going down the safe one that you can work through, metabolize, and get out of your body? That is why I wanted to bring up hormone replacement therapy, not to get you too more confused or overload you with information, but to know that it isn't always a bad thing. It's about using the right kind in the right place in the right way. Don't ever take an estrogen pill. That's where all the bad press came from on estrogen replacement. And it's a good thing because that's the one that is a synthetic that was going straight to the breast, increasing the risk of cancer. You always want to make sure that you have a bioidentical type of hormone and somebody who knows what they're doing with it, because it has to be done very carefully. It has to be done naturally. You can do creams, you can do vaginal suppositories, you can do that kind of stuff, patches, and still a little on the edge, but you can do all these other things and not just go to a pill. Please don't ever take a pill. I'm just telling you, it doesn't get broken down correctly, it doesn't get metabolized correctly, and that is going to increase your risk of cancer, especially if your gut doesn't work correctly. If you have any problem with elimination, you're constipated, that's where there's a problem. So if you have someone who's doing hormone replacement on you and you're not going to the bathroom more than once a week or every twice a week, something like that, then they don't know what they're doing. You've got to be going to the bathroom. So the bioidentical, what that means is it's the most connected to our own system. It matches us better than anything else does. Um, and there's ways to improve your levels, your hormone levels, even before you start doing something like a hormone replacement therapy. Losing weight, watching the carbohydrates, eating organic to get rid of the toxins and the pesticides, all those things. When you get rid of them, your body can do the things it's supposed to do naturally. But then we get towards our menopausal years and the body's just going, nope, nope, I'm done. So what I typically do with women is prior to menopause, we're managing things differently than when it starts coming into a, surgical menopause or the menopausal years. We have to work with it all different. There's all different ways to manage hormones. But anyway, so that's how it's got bad press and why people will go, no, no, no to hormone therapy. It's a misunderstanding. It's from the studies that were done on those pills that were actually given, and not on all the other types of hormone management. So anyway, make sure you get somebody who knows what they're doing and is going to address these types of things. And so let's see, what else was I going to say about that? There's that. So without addressing that root cause of the imbalance, you're increasing your risk of developing cancer. So this functional medicine synergy in cancer care, here's what we want to know, right? You have to get that advanced testing of your hormones. You have to know the metabolization of them and which pathway they're going down. When we're talking about hormone-related cancers and when we're doing hormone-focused cancer, there are some times I'll do blood work and there's sometimes I'll do other types of testing. There's just all kinds of testing that we can do, but the advanced testing that's functional medicine based needs to be done to do things correctly and is a necessity when we're talking about cancer. So whether you've been diagnosed, whether you have a high risk, this is the type of testing that has to be done because we have to know how things are getting metabolized. When I do hormone-focused cancer care, this is the whole package, okay? So this is what this is all about: genetics, hormones, insulin, inflammation, immune repair, mitochondria, metabolism, obesity, toxins, all those words you heard in that definition, all the words that you've been hearing me say throughout this whole presentation. You have to fuel the body with nutrition. You have to make sure that you're eliminating the things you're not supposed to have. You got to do self-care. You have to address the mind, heal the spirit. All of these things go into what I have come up with as the hormone-focused cancer care system approach. You have to identify the cause of your hormone-related cancer if you have cancer or if you're doing your risk. You have to protect from the spread of cancer and from those harsh cancer treatments. You have to repair that broken immune system that allowed cancer cells to actually happen and take over. You have to rebalance what caused the hormone-related cancer and allow yourself to feel better than ever. That's the goal. You want to feel better than you did before you got into this whole journey. You don't want to be left depleted because somebody ripped all your hormones out of you and didn't look at the big picture. You don't want to get through all your treatments and on the other side be like, was it even worth it? Because I feel terrible. I can't have hormones and, my libido is down and I just don't feel like a woman anymore. We want to address all of that. And then we want to rebuild. We want to make sure we recover, rebuild, protect you from cancer coming back. We want to make you feel better than you ever did. And we want you to thrive beyond your cancer treatments. And when you understand the big picture and when we work together, when it's integrative care, I don't replace cancer treatments. Okay. That's not ever what I want you to think I'm doing. What I want you to understand is synergistic. It all works together to make sure that you come out of it better than ever and that you've addressed all of the underlying causes. And when you learn something, you may help someone else, maybe a family member that might be at risk because you've learned all the things that are causing you to be at risk or having developed cancer, and you can help them to find out that also. So these are the things we put together with functional medicine. It's stress, it's gut health, it's emotions, it's detox, it's mental, it's, exercise, sleep, relationships, spiritual. Yes, there's supplements involved, nutrition, all of it comes together. But there is science behind all of it. It isn't just eat better. So anybody who's ever thought that functional medicine is just eat better, live a healthier life, there's way more to it than that. It's biosynthesis, chemistry, all those things that go into that. It's a deeper understanding and it's putting it all together instead of having, well, I have a hormone doctor, I have a cancer doctor, I have a diabetes doctor, I have all these things are coming together. They're all the same thing. Like, look at the big picture: diabetes, heart disease, cancer, obesity, all of it is coming together. All of it has a basis of inflammation and hormone imbalance. All those 45 hormones that we were talking about, they all play against each other or with each other. It depends on which way you do it. You just have to look at the big picture and put them all back together, because you see this model, this wheel of it. If you're not sleeping, that's a stress that causes inflammation. I touched on a lot of that as we went through this whole thing, trying to break it down and make you to understand there's reasons that we look at all these different pieces to the puzzle. And even though you might be going, why is she asking me about my sleep? What does that have to do with cancer? Or why does she care if my husband and I get along? What does that have to do with it? Well, if you and your husband or your spouse or whoever, sorry, I don't mean to do that in the wrong way. But if you're stressed out all the time, that's a risk. That's going to affect everything else. It's going to affect your sleep. It's going to affect your nutrition. If if it's a financial stressor, it's going to affect your nutrition. We have to learn to work around that. There's just so many pieces to it, and that is why the whole person is taken into account. And that is why with functional medicine, we ask you all those questions that you go, geez, this is a little bit in depth, isn't it? Or why does this matter? That's why it all matters, because it all interplays with it. And so you're probably used to the traditional model of healthcare where you come in for that 15-minute visit and it's like, okay, here's your lab, da, 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 see ya. Gotta go. And that's not what we do. So it makes it difficult, it's like I'm still doing some of that traditional, and I'm doing a lot more of the functional medicine. It makes it a little bit difficult sometimes, because when you have to do the traditional insurance based kind of, like, this is what they want you to do, versus the functional medicine based where you get the whole package, the whole program. It's just this is why I love functional medicine so much more, because an initial intake visit with someone who's doing a functional medicine program is an hour long. Like, we really talk about a lot of stuff. Like, we get to know each other. Because if you don't trust me, well, how are we ever going to get a relationship that works to help you to meet your goals? Because you need to know that I'm going to help you even when you're down, and even when you go, I'm just done, I can't. I'm going to be like, all right, listen, snap out of it, get it together. There's both of those pieces to it. And if you're feeling emotional, I'm going to help support you through that also. But that isn't all of it. We have to, there's this whole thing that is a trust relationship with a patient and a provider that helps you to get the outcomes that you need. And the more you trust me, the more you're going to tell me, and the easier it's going to be for me to be able to help you to put those pieces together, or find that one thing that you didn't think was important that could be the key to all of it. So that's where that comes into play. And then we have ongoing stuff where we do the blood work, we get, or the testing that we have to do, whatever. Some of it's not all blood, but we do the testing we need to do to find those missing pieces, those missing links. And we go over all of that in detail, and then we try to link what's off balance where. What piece of this wheel is it that we need to work on to realign those things that we found in your labs, to bring you back together and to start working on that. And then we need to do nutrition from where you are. I mean, there's things that you like and you don't like. Well, okay, we got to work with that. But so just to understand the difference in functional medicine versus that primary care, insurance model driven, where they tell us what we have to do, and they give us these protocols, and we have to tattle on you to the insurance companies, and we have to give you the medicines they tell you to take, and do all those things they say we have to do. And then to this other side where you get to be a part of your own healthcare, and we get to actually do the things that matter in real life. So yeah, you can probably tell that I'm a little adamant about that kind of stuff. Anyway, so get your free guide to hormone focused cancer care. And so, yes, you lovely, wonderful people who went through this with me a little while ago, in the live version. This is what I was trying to say. The slide was not in there. But you can shoot me a message. You can email Marsha at marshajonesmp.com. That gets right to me. You can say, hey, Marsha, I really want that guide. I watched your webinar and I think I want to know even more. It goes into more detail about the things that I addressed today, that you can have to look at and go back to and reference. And it gives you a little bit more information on things you can go ahead and get started doing in your everyday life to help to protect you. And so like I said, you can get that guide just by messaging me. If you want to know more about that hormone-focused cancer care system, that one-on-one functional medicine approach to working with me, there's 3 and 6 month programs available. There's that advanced testing is included in that, because when we talk about those things, I want you to know, I'm just going to say, I'm not going to do a hormone-focused cancer care system with you without doing the advanced testing. And that is why the programs that I have, I've included that in there, because I want you to commit. I want you to know that things don't happen overnight, that we have to do that big deep dive into things first. And then we go from there into all the other stuff. And then we do, like, I have weekly group sessions, but I have the one-on-one stuff too, where when you're with me, it's all you. Like, it's only about you. It's only about what we're working on with you. When we're in a group session, that's not for us to talk about you personally. That's for us to talk about all those other things, like, that we don't have time to go into in like this hour webinar. That's week after, that's months of information about things like the toxins, how to avoid them, the nutrition, how to get exercise into your life, how to work on your gut. All of those things are what we do in that weekly sessions that kind of get recorded like this. But then the one-on-ones are us, one-on-one. So that's a bit about the cancer care system that I have. If you want to know more, if you want to know if it's something that works for you, how it works in detail, then I have this thing called this free discovery call. It's 15 minutes of you get to talk to me. Now, we're not going to go into your personal healthcare at that time. That's not what that's for. It's for 15 minutes of just kind of like, what does the program entail? Is this right for me? Is it something I want to commit to right now? Are we going to be able to work well together? Do we fit? Just those are the kind of things that we talk about in that discovery call. And then if it's something that you want to do, if you think functional medicine is right for you, you want to do that journey, then we get you set up and we get started with it. But marshajonesnp.com, that is where you find how to book that discovery call, and you can get into my schedule. But I want you to know there's hope. There is hope, and don't be afraid of cancer. Equip yourself with the information. And, like I said, I've been through the journey. I've sat there and understand. I wasn't myself that was facing cancer, but, I kind of like my husband. So it was very hard and it was very emotional. And I want to help others who didn't have the ability that I had to be able to get that extra testing, to, pull those strings to get the stuff that needed to be done. I want to give you some peace of mind and information that you need. So if you're not ready to work with me, okay, I want you to know that also up front. It is not a necessity. I'm going to continue to do these webinars. I'm going to continue to give you information. Follow the Facebook page, sign up for the email list. This is where you're going to gather all those other little tidbits. It's not you personally, but I'm not going to stop giving you information. I'm not one of those people that's just like, well, if you don't want to work with me, I don't want to work with you. It doesn't go that way. I'm still going to give you information that'll be helpful. So follow that. And if maybe in the future you want to work with me, then fantastic. I'm here. I'm not a judgy person. I'm pretty easy to get along with, go with the flow. And we work with you where you're at in whatever part of your journey you're in. And we go from there, because it's your life. It's your cancer, or hopefully not your cancer if we can get to it in time. And prevention is just as much a part of cancer care. So if there's anyone that you know that may benefit from this, please go ahead, share it, or make sure you let them know about me. Have them go onto the Facebook page, like it, follow it, because I will pop on there and I'll do stuff. I'll give you, Facebook Lives or recordings, whatever, to just whatever's on my mind that I think I want to share with everyone. And then, of course, the email group is email subscription is where you will get a little bit more detailed information about things that I have to share. And I put that on my website also. So marshajonesnp.com is where it's at. Don't give up hope. I hope that all of you are in a good place with wherever you are in your journey right now, and that I was able to give you a little bit of information. And that is going to be the end of today's session. Thank you so much for listening, watching, going to the end, and putting up with all the technology.